Hello everyone, welcome to AWS and Linux Foundation course. And today our agenda is to discuss about EC2 instance basics, right? So by now we have understood the cloud basics and AWS introduction in terms of understanding AWS global infrastructure regions and how do we select a region to create your EC2 instances, which is a server on AWS cloud to run your business applications, right? So we have seen how to create a simple EC2 instance, but today we are going in detail about how to create a EC2 instance with more information that will help us to have a good understanding about EC2 service in AWS, and will quickly create the EC2 instances, guys. Okay, so the agenda is to create a server and the EC2 related resources like AMI, instance type, key pair, right? And we also talk about the AWS support related tasks and the EC2 instance status checks, right? So without further delay, let's get into the discussion. I'm logging into the AWS management console to my account, right? And here I'm choosing a region in which region I would like to create my EC2 instances, right? So now let me go and create a simple EC2 instance, right? So I can just click on launch instances. So this is a form that you need to fill up in creating a EC2 instance. Though we have created a EC2 instance yesterday in a previous lecture, right? This time I'm navigating to all these different options and we'll talk about in detail how do we create a EC2 instances, right? Well, the first one which you see here, name and tag, right? Whatever you give here, this is the name of your EC2 instance, which is also called as a tag. So what does it mean by the tag, guys? The tagging is like identifying a specific element or a component, right? By giving some labeling, correct? Yes, here also AWS is supporting the tagging for all the resources that you are going to create. So by default, whatever the name that you give here, that is considered as a name tag, in the sense name is the key and the value will be a demo or whatever the name value that you would like to give. Let's say I wanted to give my EC2 server name as test, then the tag will be the name and the value will be test. Why should I be giving this tag? The tag will help us to know why the server resource and who created and other details. You can add multiple tags for your EC2 instances by going to this add additional tags. You see here, the test that I have given some time back is taken as a value to the key called name. The tags are key value pair kind of information which will help us to know why this resource and how the resource is created. Let's say today I'm creating a EC2 instance, but tomorrow I wanted to know, right, this server is created by whom, for what reason, all those information, right? And the AWS level, the tags also will help us to do the filtering, right? The cost management. There are a lot of other benefits that we have with the resource tags that we are using in AWS level. For now, let me give more tags to this EC2 instance. Let's say I wanted to give a tagging that who created this EC2 instance, right? Let's say created by is the key name. Let's say the value is like PR. The key could be anything, the value could be anything. This is just a meaningful information that you are labeling to your AWS resource, which will be helping for others also as well to understand, right, how the server is created. And of course, as I said, AWS level, these tags will help us to do the cost level management as well. We'll see that cost management factors in later, right? So like that, you can give multiple tags here, right? Who created, let's say you wanted to give the contact of the the person who is responsible of this EC2 instance as an example. So I can give that email ID. Anything that you would like to give as a tag can be given here, guys. Correct? So give your proper tags for your EC2 resource and go to the next. The next thing that you need to choose is Amazon Machine Image, AMI. In AWS, the AMI is the template that you need to choose to let AWS know that which operating system that you would like to deploy on this EC2 instances. So in simple common terminology, the AMI is like a operating system selection, which OS that you are looking for. From the technical terminology perspective, Amazon Machine Image is the template of the operating system and certain common predefined application softwares that are loaded it into your EC2 instance when it is created. Remember, when we created a EC2 instance, the server is fully ready and available for you to logging into the server on your Linux machines. So that means you don't need to worry in installing the Linux operating system or any operating system that you are choosing here, right? You don't need to install it. The moment when you choose the operating system, right, with this AMI selection, the service provider like AWS will be attaching, deploying this operating system for you on this EC2 instance, and it is fully ready to start logging in and using it for your business use cases, right? That's the reason AMI is the Amazon Machine Image, which is the operating system selection that you need to do here based on which OS that you are looking for your EC2 instances. Here you can see the different operating system flavors that you need to choose. If you need to choose any other that is not listed in the quick start, you can always click on browse for more AMIs, right? When you click on browse more AMIs, it will give you more information about the different AMIs that are currently supported by the AWS, right? So under the quick start AMIs, you can see like 47. These are the number of AMIs that are officially commonly supported by the AWS for you. You see, if you look into this quick start AMI list, you can see Amazon Linux AMIs, right? Mac OS, Red Hat, Ubuntu, Microsoft Windows. So all these are the different flavored of operating systems that are currently supported by the AWS officially. Whichever the OS that you like it, you can go and select that so that the AWS will ensure that this operating system is deployed on your EC2 instances. When you are choosing the AMI, it has the AMI name and it has the AMI ID as well. You can see here the AMI ID is the unique number that is created for your AMI within your region, and that AMI ID that is something that you need to select so that that's respective operating system will be deployed. It also giving you a small description which talks about if you choose this AMI, which OS that you will be getting along with the operating system. Is there any other softwares that are coming as by default? All that description is mentioned here. So when you are choosing the AMI, you need to go through this description and see is the right one that you are looking for your specific business needs, and then choose the AMI, right? The AMI selection is also giving you the flexibility to choose whether you are looking for x86 architecture or a ARM based architecture. What does it mean, guys? Behind the screens, when the server is created, the server can be deployed using Intel based processor architecture or ARM based processor architecture, right? Which processor architecture that you are looking for. Usually if you are purchasing a system from the store guy will ask you, right, hey, what processor that you are looking for, the Intel x86 or ARM. The same kind of information is now being asked you guys in this form by the AWS people, right? So whichever the architecture that you choose, the corresponding system will be created in the respective region of data centers, right? And the operating system will be get deployed on that specific machines. Good. At the moment, you are not worrying about how to select all these things. Should I be going with the x86? Should I be going with ARM? You don't need to worry about that. Usually, the senior architects will decide which architecture should be used, which AMI should be used based on the businesses that they wanted to run. So whatever is being finalized, the configuration, we are there to select those information from this list and create a EC2 instances, because selecting or deciding what options that we need to choose here will directly depending and impacting on the business use cases. Without we understanding what business that we are trying to run on this EC2 server, we cannot decide these different elements, right? So that's the reason the business side of people who are actually knowing what needs to be done will decide these parameters and will let us know. And you as an engineer will just take up this information, the configuration information from your architects, and will just implement it. That's how we need to understand at this time at a basic foundation level. Good. So you can see the left side navigation, which is helping you in terms of filtering the AMIs as well, right? So whether you are looking for the Linux AMIs, Windows AMIs, and you can even filter it through the different processor architecture that you are looking for. It will just helping you rather you navigating to this whole list. You can just filter, right, which AMIs that you are actually looking for. Good. Any AMI that you see in the quick start guide is actually be a latest version usually, right? All the latest versions of operating system will be listed here. For any reason, you would like to use any older version or the operating system that is not listed in the quick start guide, let's say you wanted to use all of them, then we can see there is something called AWS Marketplace AMIs guys. So if you go to AWS Marketplace AMIs, there are almost 7,000 plus number of AMIs that are currently supported. These AMIs are actually trusted by the third party companies in the sense, ideally the AMIs are the operating systems that are listed in the quick start guide. All those are actually officially provided by the AWS itself. We can see here these are actually giving by the AWS, right? So but when you go to the AWS marketplace, the AMS may be get registered and selling you guys by the third party companies as well guys. You see there is a AMI called WordPress certified by Bitnami. This AMI is actually selling you, providing you by a VMware company. You see the other AMI which is giving you by the company called OpenVPN. Like that, the third companies are actually, right, the one which is treated as a trusted by the AWS. Those third party vendors are actually registering their AMIs here and providing you these AMI facilities that you can start selecting and creating a instance for you. Going back into the previous discussion, this is where we talked about that, once the instances are ready, that means once the infrastructure is ready, on top of the infrastructure, the operating system will be there. On top of the operating system, any of the business application has to be installed, configured to make your business running, right? The question for you, ideally, when you are creating a EC2 instance, which is the cloud infrastructure on your AWS platform, right? The EC2 is coming along with the operating system that you are selecting. So When you get a EC2 instance, that is just a operating system. So can I start using EC2 as it is to run my business, to provide a retail website that I wanted to serve to my users? No. On top of this operating system, we need to install the application, right? This is something that you need to choose: download, install, configure. Lot of steps that you need to do on top of the operating system in order to configure that system to be compatible for your specific application need, correct? These third-party trusted vendors, right, are making your life easier rather you taking a plain EC2 instance and you struggling yourself to install all these different softwares or applications that you are looking for. These third-party vendors are actually planning to compile all those softwares as part of your AMI itself. That is where it is a marketplace. That means, so the different vendors are actually supporting the AMIs by including the required softwares as well, guys. So if you choose any AMI, you are not only getting the operating system, you also get the corresponding applications that are already installed, already configured, already customized. So it is ready to use, right? The EC2 instances for your business without you struggling again to download and install and configure them. I hope now you got the difference between the AMIs that are listed in the quick start guide comparing to the AMIs that are showing in the marketplace section. That is the reason in the marketplace section, whatever the AMIs that you see are actually, from the third party companies. All these third party vendors are actually designed this AMIs as per their application stack. You can see a lot of applications that are showing in here. So let's say PF Sense is an example. This is one application. You don't need to worry out about how to download and install this application. If you take this AMI will by default give you this software as pre-installed. You can just start using this without you worrying about configuring this. That is the advantage that you get it in the marketplace AMIs. As these marketplace AMIs are actually selling by the third party vendors, we can see that in each AMI, what is the billing that is considered for you using this particular AMI. So whatever the pricing that is mentioned here, that pricing will be applicable if you are using this particular AMI. The only advantage, you will get this particular application as pre-loaded in the instance itself, rather you struggling in downloading and configuring this by yourself, guys, right? So of course, wherever it is labeled as free trial, that is available for you to use in your free trial account as well. But whichever is not labeled as free trial, then this billing will be applicable to you and you need to pay for this, right? So that is what is it mean by the marketplace AMIs, and as per the requirement, whether should I be using the marketplace, should I be using the quick start, need to take a decision which AMI that is suitable for our business needs. We need to take that AMI and create a EC2 instance. Now, if you go to this community AMI, this is where you can see almost 500 plus number of AMIs, right? The AMIs that you see under the community section are public use. That means these are the AMIs that are registered by the public for you to use freely. So we don't need to pay anything. These are the AMIs that are provided by the public people. You can go and get any AMI that you like it from this list without you paying anything. But the AMIs that are showing in the community section are not a trusted one. That means because these AMIs are registered by someone else and providing you, right? So there is no guarantee that these AMIs are in working stage. These AMIs are secured, correct? So it's not recommended to use the AMIs that are showing in the community section, but if you're really doing a learning, practicing, testing something, yes, you can go and use this community AMIs at initial goal. But when it comes to the business use, do not consider the community AMIs, as there is no guarantee that these AMIs are stable to provide you the good operating system with all the security measures. So out of this all the story, right? So throughout our lecture, we are interested on using the quick start AMI only. So I'm not using the community. I'm not using any marketplace AMIs as well, because I wanted to download and install my own software as per my requirement rather me getting a predefined list from the marketplace, right? So that's the reason. Let me go to the quick start AMI tab, and from here let me go and pick up the AMI that I'm interested on to configure this as per my business use. Well, you can see my AMI tab as well here with the 0 indicated. We'll talk about this my AMI in a bit later, right? So we'll see how to customize your own AMI, right, based on your requirement in later sections. For now, in the quick start section, I wanted to use Amazon Linux 2 AMI, which is compatible for x86 architecture, right? This is the AMI ID that I wanted to use. Let me go and select it. You can even see that the free tier eligible. That means if you are choosing this AMI, there will be no billing for you. This is available as part of your 12 months free trial, right? So this is good. Let me go and select this particular AMI, which will be giving you Amazon Linux operating system, right, for your x86 architecture based EC2 instances. Like that, we need to understand each and every option that you see in this EC2 instance creation process, guys, correct? That is what is the goal for today, to go in detailed how to choose these options from this list to create a EC2 instance. Good. I hope you guys are following me. There will be more theoretical initial days when we are dealing with AWS, as this is all a graphical user interface, right? A web interface. We need to understand all these different options that you see here in the selection, right? Good. So now the next step is to choose the instance type. Of course, you can see the different instance types from the drop down, but to get more details about the instance type, you need to select compare instance types. That will give you the pop-up window which is showing all the different instance type that are possible in AWS for you to select. What is instance type, right? The instance type is the terminology in AWS that we use for selecting the compute capacity. When I say compute, the processor and the memory is nothing but the compute resources, and how much compute that you are looking for your server is something that you can choose by selecting the instance types. In AWS, you cannot give whatever the compute size that you need in terms of the processor and the memory count. Let's say I cannot tell to AWS that, hey, I need one processor with a 10 GB memory. No, because that combination is not there here. So you cannot give the explicitly how many processors and how much memory that you like it. AWS has made the fixed instance types with the fixed processor and the memory combination. So which combination that you are looking for, you go and choose that corresponding instance type from the list, guys, right? Let's say if you are choosing t2.micro as the instance type, which will be giving you one processor with 1 GB of memory. That's it. Like that, if you do a little scroll down, We can see the instance types, which will be giving you a huge number of processors and the memory as well. As the compute size is more and more, the performance will be more, the billing will be more. So based on your requirement for your business, how much size of the compute is required and what is your billing uh, pricing model, you need to go and choose the right instance type, guys. I know this is a tricky part. Even when you go to the store to purchase a system, when they ask you, "Here, tell me how much processor and memory that you need," you will be in a confusion now. How how do you decide the right computing, right? So knowingly or unknowingly, or at the time you cannot decide what is the compute that you are looking for, right? You go and purchase a bigger system, thinking that tomorrow for any reason, if I need some more capacity, I can't increase it, so better to buy now only with a bigger capacity. You may be not using, but still you are buying a bigger capacity by paying more, right? That means you are not purchasing a right size of the compute. Unnecessary, you are paying more. If you if you pay less and get the less capacity, tomorrow if you are looking for a more capacity, again it is a trouble in terms of doing the upgrade of your resources, right? Possible. Here also same thing. When I'm selecting the instance type, I need to choose the right amount of processor and memory that is best suitable for your business needs. The architect, the senior architect, has their own guidelines how the the instance types can be selected for their business needs based on what kind of a business, how many people are accessing my application, what type of application that the people are using. All these are the different things that the architect will be considering, right, to select the instance type. Well, so at this time, we are worrying about how to choose these options, right? Now, rather worrying about how to select the instance type, all these things, because that has dependency with a lot of other application related behaviors that is yet to go. I hope you are good with this. And the AWS is making your life easier by grouping these instance types into a families. You see here, any instance type that start with a T are called as a general purpose family, which are you know which are used for our regular websites businesses purposes. Any instance type that start with a C is mean that the compute in the sense those instance types will give you more processor, less memory. If you do little scroll down, we can even see, I'll go to the next page, right? We can see the instance type with a different labeling as well. You see, the one which is starting with M is mean that the memory intensive applications, that is where you will get some more power of memory, less power of computing processor. So like that, there are different families are there which will be giving you whether you are looking for more processor or more memory, or equally amountable processor and the memory, which is a general purpose, right? So based on that, there are some families are there. Which family will be good enough for your use case? You need to go and choose that one, guys. I hope this is good now, right? So with all these concepts, right, for your learning purposes, we will be only using the T2.micro. Why? Only the T2.micro is available for you to use freely as part of the free tier eligibility, right? The T2.micro is available. If you are using any other instance types, then that is not available for the free tier, and you will be expecting a bill at a month end, right? If you are going with any other instance types. So during the learning time, I will always be using the T2.micro, which you will be getting one processor and 1 GB capacity, right, of computing. Go and select the instance type based on the need, and click on select instance type. Good. Now coming back to below, this is where you need to create a key pair and associate the key pair, right? As we discussed, the key pair can be, you know, one time you can create a key pair and you can start using the same key pair from the drop down possible, right? So now here you can see that the key pair is already exist. I'm using that existing key pair. That key pair will be used to access your EC2 instances securely from your PuTTY tools, right? That is a security that the AWS is providing for the initial login of your EC2 instances, because I don't want my instance is accessible by anyone else just like that, right? That is why the key pairs is important here to protect, secure your instances login process. Good. Coming down, in the networking section, whatever is there, do not touch at this time, guys. So let all the networking settings as default. We are not touching any of them. So leave the network settings by default and proceed further, because the networking settings has a lot of other dependencies that we need to go through. So without knowing those networking, we cannot edit any of these details. So for now, leave this networking settings apart, and anything that is related to the storage also leave it as default, because so we will be dealing about this storage section in a next upcoming lectures in detail. It is not possible to learn all these different options that you see in one session in one day, right? Due to the dependencies. So as and when I see the option is meaningful to discuss, I'll be bringing this up and we'll go through that case, right? So here you can see the free tier eligible customers can get up to 30 GB. That means if you are taking the volume capacity of 50, then you need to pay to the AWS for the additional 20 GB that you are taking, because you are eligible to take only 30 GB of capacity for your free tier. So anyway, we are not keeping more data here. Why should I be going for a higher capacity of the volumes? Let it be a small capacity. Scroll down and click on launch instances. Now the AWS is started creating a instance based on the configuration that you have chosen on the Mumbai data centers. The instance ID is created for you, right? Initially, the instance will be in the pending state, right? So I'm expecting the session is loading. You see now the instance is showing as pending, in the sense the AWS is now in the process of creating a server you on the respective zone of respective region of data centers. After some time, once the server is ready, then now you can see that the instance is turned into a running state. By default, AWS is calculating how many number of hours the server will be in the running state, then the billing will be applicable to the number of hours only. Once the server is deployed and it is in running state, then you are getting a default public IP that you need to use to logging into the server from your PuTTY process. The server is showing as running, in the sense the server is fully ready. It is available for you to use in the respective data centers. You can change the instance state however you need it. Let's say you select the server, you go to instance state, you can see here stop, right? So before me doing some changes here, let me copy this public IP, guys. I'm keeping this public IP that is given by the AWS by default for me to use. Now let me stop it. You see, stop in the sense like shutting down the server. Like how you guys will be, shutting down your laptop, starting the laptop. All these are the different states that you can follow, right? Yes, this is also a server, which is nothing but a system that is currently available in the Mumbai region as per my selection, right? So when you say stop, is mean that your system will be get shut down on the respective region wherever the system is currently running in, correct? You see now the instance is stopped. When the instance is in the stop state, you observe that the default public IP that was there some time back is disappeared. Is mean that AWS will be allocating the default public IP only to the running state of EC2 instances, not for the stopped state of instances. Good point. So when the server is in stop state, is mean that the system is in shutdown state. Can I access this system from me for my party now? No. So again, at any given point of the time, if you wanted to start your system, you can select the server, go to instance state. Now you see the option here to start a instance. Go and click on start instances. Now the AWS will again start this instance on the respective regions wherever this is created. So the instance will now turn into a running state. You can always do a refresh here to get the latest state of your EC2 instance. Once the server turn into a running state, now you can see that the default public IP is again associated. But when you stop and start the server, the public IP that is associated is got differ. Now you compare the public IPs. Sometime back the public IP was differ, now it is changing. So the statement here is the default public IP that is associated to your EC2 instance is changeable when you stop and start a EC2 instance. Now we can even click on terminate a server. That terminate in the sense the server will be completely removed from your account on the respective regions as well. You cannot get a recovery the server that you have terminated. It's like destroying the server whenever you don't want it. As usual, reboot in the sense the server will be get shut down and will be starting automatically again, right? That is what does it mean by the rebooting a EC2 instance. That is how you can choose the different states of your EC2 instance from this list. That way you can control your EC2 instance when it should be in running, when it should be rebooted or stopping, right? Ideally, when you stop the server, is there anything that is running on the server? Everything will be get shut down, right? Always you try to understand from your home-based laptops. If you are having a trouble in understanding it from the business perspective, just assume like we have a laptop and where you are playing a movie by opening one Windows or VLC media players. When you stop it, that means when you shut down the system, what will happen, guys? All of your application will be closes, then your system will go down. Again, you start the machine. Do you think when you start the machine, all of your applications that are opened sometime back will be still in running state? No. Again, you need to go and start initiating all of them and start working on that. But you see there is a one more option called Hibernate. Hibernate is the special state of your EC2 instance which states that the running applications will remains to be in the halted mode, and later when you start the instance again, your applications will be resumed. I hope you have experienced this hibernate state in your laptops as well, right? Ideally, do not close any of the windows and applications. You go and try to keep your system as a hibernate mode. You see this option in my Windows? Hibernate in the sense the current running application state will be preserved, and later when you start the system and it will resume back into the same state where it left off, right? That is called as a hibernate state. Even that state is also supported by the AWS EC2 instances. The only thing is the hibernate state is not supported for all the EC2 instance types. Here I'm using T2.micro, right? The T2.micro is not supported for the hibernate, hence the reason this hibernate state is currently disabled mode. Only certain instance types are supported. Whichever is supported, yes, we can choose this option if you wanted to keep all the running applications as it is before it actually shutting down. So that when you start it, the same applications will continue to be running without you starting them again. That's how the Hibernate works, but applicable only for few instance types, not for all. With this, we have completed understanding the different EC2 instance states in AWS. Now the conclusion point. The AWS will calculate the billing only on the running instances, guys. Is mean that if you stop the EC2 instance, if the instance is in stop state, will you be paying to the AWS? No. Because when the EC2 is in the stop state, the processor and the memory is not consumed, not utilized. So you don't need to pay to the stopped EC2 instances, guys. So only the running instances are consuming the compute, and only for that compute you need to pay. If the server is in stop, you don't need to pay. So this kind of the model is called as a pay as you go service. Pay as you go in the sense, if you are using, you pay it. If you are not using, you do not pay. That is what is the power of the cloud computing model. So currently my server is in stop state. You don't need to pay to the AWS on the compute that is allotted for this EC2 instance, because the memory processor are not being utilized here, right? So whenever you start the server, again the AWS will start calculating how many total number of hours the server is in running, and on hourly basis the AWS is going to calculate and will generate a bill accordingly. Of course, when it is part of the free trial, you don't need to pay, but I'm discussing this is from the real-time perspective, right? Good. But at least from the learning time, you may be in a uh, mindset that for any reasons, what is the case if it is exceeding the free tier limitations? Let's say you forgot to stop the server and it is continuously running. If your instances are running more than 750 hours per month, then it is billable, right? As per the limitations that the AWS free trial is having. If you think so, then I advise you to configure the billing preferences, right? You go to your account name and then go to the billing dashboard, right? You click on the billing dashboard to configure the billing preferences. In the billing dashboard, you get to see the total bill that is generated for your account if you are using the resources above the free tier limitations. Here you can see my bill. That's how it is causing for me, because I'm definitely using more than the free tier and I'm getting this bill, right? We can go to the bill section here in order to see the bill that is generated for your AWS account. With all the details, right? So I advise you go to the billing preferences. In the billing preferences, you can see here that receive free tier usage alerts. Here you specify your email ID and save it. That way, if any resource that is going beyond the free tier, then the AWS is going to warn you to this email ID. At least you will know that you will get notified that yes, something is happening which is going beyond the free tier. You can come and start terminating or deleting that resource to avoid a unnecessary billing, guys. So this is recommended to configure initially during the learning time to get notified if something is happening. Good. Coming back. This is the AWS Management Console home, right? Now you can see the recently visited services here. Let me use EC2, right? At the time of you are creating a EC2 instance, there was an option to create a key pair, right? You can create a key pair or can use the existing key pair, but the key pairs can also be created explicitly, not only at the time of creating a EC2 instance, guys. Let's say in the left side navigation, this is where you can see the different resources, right? We can see the key pair tab. This is where you can create a key pair. So that means I'm showing you how to create a key pair explicitly rather at the time of launching a server itself. So go and click on create a key pair and specify the key pair name, whichever the key pair name that you would like to. The type can be anything that you like it, RSA or ED25519, but I do recommend to use RSA, which is the encryption type that it has to use to create a key pair in the backend. Now, so as I said, once the EC2 server is created, in order to logging into the EC2 server, I was using PuTTY, right? If you guys are using PuTTY, then I do recommend to download the key in the .ppk format. If you are not using PuTTY, if you are using any other tool to logging into the server, then you download the .pem format. The PuTTY is the compatible tool to logging into your Linux servers on your Windows systems for any reason. If you are not using Windows, let's say you are using Mac based laptop or a Linux based laptops, right? Or you may be using Windows but not a PuTTY, you are using any other tool, then you can download the PEM format. Because the PEM format is not supported by the PuTTY, so that's the reason you have two options here, which format that you would like to download. You may be wondering now what are the different tools are available for me to logging into the Linux instances. You see now, I am showing you the PuTTY, but you can use any tool that you like it in this list. There are multiple tools are available which will be allowing you to logging into your Linux instances, guys. All these are the different tools that are available. Anything is fine. These are the just a client tools for you to logging into the Linux instances. I'm saying the PuTTY is the recommended tool for me. If you are using PuTTY, download the key with .ppk. If you are using any other tool, see what is the compatible. and try to download the corresponding key from the AWS. I hope this is good. As I am using PuTTY, in my case, I am always downloading the .ppk format of the key and click on create a key pair. That key pair, right, I can use later when I'm launching a EC2 instances. When you are creating a key pair, that time the key will be downloaded to your local system. That is the key that you need to use to logging into your EC2 instances, right? Remember, the key will be downloaded only at the time of you creating a key pair. Later, for any reason, the key that was downloaded is deleted. You cannot re-download the key from AWS. If you go to the AWS and go to the key and you don't have an option to download it one more time, guys. So try to keep the key that was downloaded in a secured and keep it secured, because you cannot download the key, and the other problem is you cannot change the key of a running EC2 server. Let's say this particular EC2 server is currently created with a key called CLF01. I cannot change this key pair of this running server just like that. AWS is not supporting to change the key pair of a running EC2 instance directly. If you lose the key, you cannot logging into the server. There are some other possible workarounds are there, but AWS is not allowing you to change this key pair from your AWS console. You don't have any option here to change the key if you need to. Good. So now let's say when you are trying to launch a one more new instance, right? The key can be associated from the existing list. In this case, you can see that the key is actually generated from the outside of my launch process, but still that key will be visible in your drop down. That is something that you can choose to create a server. I'm just showing that now you can see the list of two keys and see which key that you would like to use for your EC2 instance and proceed with your EC2 creation process. As of now, I'm not creating one more server. Let me click on cancel. Good. Now, let's say if I want to logging into this EC2 server, as you know that I need to take this public IP, go to the PuTTY tool that is already downloaded and available in your machine. Give the IP address in this hostname section. Go to SSH and provide a key. Sometimes this private key upload option will be available in the auth. Sometimes you need to click on this plus symbol, and below the plus symbol you may be getting the option. It all depends on which PuTTY version that you are using. The options may be available. There are here, guys. Correct? So let me try to logging into my system. I'm attaching the .ppk key and logging into the instance. Let me change the settings. As you know, the default username is EC2-user. We have seen this, right? The default username list that is recommended by the AWS yesterday. Now you got into the server. Good. Once you logging into the server, what needs to be done, how the server can be used as a business purpose, we'll see all these details slowly once we move into the Linux basics. As of now, this is good that we are able to logging into the EC2 instances. The question for you, let's say you stop the server, you start the server again, then the public IP is changing, right? So if the public IP is changing, then do you think this public IP will be working later to logging into the server? No, that is a problem. So as much as possible, right? I don't want these dynamic public IP which is keep on changing when I stop and start the EC2 instances. How do I get a permanent static public IP? That means though I stop the server, still my IP should not be changing because it is keep on changing. It's very typical for me to logging into the server using the server because I need to know what is the latest IP that is configured. I don't want that to be happen, right? Only the default public IP that you get it when you launch a server is the dynamic one, means that will be changing when you stop and start the server. If you go and explicitly define a public IP by your own, that will be a permanent. That means in the left side navigation, there is a option called elastic IPs. Elastic IP is also a public IP which you can create and use it permanently. So all what you need to do is go to the elastic IPs and click on elastic IP here and just create a elastic IP. A simple steps. Now the AWS will allocate one IP address for you. This IP is the permanent IP for you in your region. Yes, if you wanted to use this IP for your EC2 server, take this IP, go to actions, associate the IP, select the server to which server you wanted to use this IP and click on associate so that this IP is now associated to your EC2 instances. You see now the IP that is ending with 235 is now showing in your EC2 server details. You see now the default IP is overwritten with your elastic IP, which is a permanent IP. Though you stop and start the server, though you terminate a server, your IP will still remains to be available in your region until unless you go and delete that IP. I'm showing you how to get a permanent static elastic IP and associate it to your EC2 instances. That is the recommended way of using the IPs for your server rather depending on the dynamically changing IP addresses. I hope we are good on this. Now, we talked about the shared responsibility model, right? That means if any issues related to the data center infrastructure that is responsible by the AWS, anything that is related to operating system configuration application that is responsible by the customer. Let's say all of a sudden your server is not accessible. The server is not in the running state. Let's say the server is, you are trying to logging in, but the login is not happening. Maybe your server is not in a good state. How will you troubleshoot the issues, guys? I mean to say, for some reason your EC2 server is not working as expected. Will you be the solely responsible to manage the whole thing of your EC2 server? No, right? It's a shared responsibility model. If you believe so, the issues are at AWS data center. That is the reason your server is not working as expected. You always can ask the AWS, hey AWS, this server is not working. I suspect the issue could be due to your side data center related, infra related. How will you ask them? Correct. So that is where you need to go to this question mark symbol. That is where there is a option available for you to contact the AWS support center. In real time, you can always go and raise a ticket with the AWS support center, right? Here you need to choose, yes, I have a issue with my technical, something is not working, create a case, select the technical. This is where you need to fill up the form and raise the details saying which server is not working, why it is not working, right? Since when the server is not working, whatever the problem that you have, we can mention the details here and and submit this ticket. The AWS will look into that and will be fixing the issues if something related to them. For now, I don't see the option here because currently I'm using the basic plan. That's the reason, right? You see, the support is not available for the basic plan. That's the reason I'm not getting any form here to fill up. But if you are actually using the support plan, then you get an option here that is where you need to fill up the details. So what problem that you are facing, the AWS will there for you to help, guys. Are we good? Just to understand what other plans are available, I'm sure in the real time there will be a proper support plan purchased by the organization for you to start raising a question to the AWS if something is not working. Here I'm using the basic support plan, which is a free, and that's the reason there is no option. But if you see the different plans that are currently supported by the AWS, you see basic is always free. There is a developer plan where we need to pay $29 per month. You will be getting the support. Business plan $100 per month. Enterprise plan 15,000 plus month just to get a support, guys. It's like when you purchase a product from any company, the company will be there for you to support, right? If your product is not working. The same thing here as well. When you are using AWS resources, if it is not working because of their problem, yes, we need to ask for the support. The support is cost included here, right? So in real time, it will be definitely any of other support plans. So you can raise a support ticket to get the help from them. The basic is free. You cannot raise any ticket with them, guys. Good. Not only the technical, if you have any specific questions related to your billing, you can always raise the billing questionnaire as well. What the problem that you are facing with your billing, right? Maybe, I have a problem with my payment issues, raise the question, right? And the team will be there to assist you if you have any specific questions on this product. Well, with this, we are now in a good understanding about a Amazon EC2 instance, how to create, how to choose the AMI instance types and the key pair, right? And how to manage the EC2 instance states and how to get a permanent static public IP of your server as the IP default IP is changing, right? And we understood that the running instances are billable, but the compute that is in stop state is not a billable, right? So these are the different factors that we have talked about today, guys. That is the story for today. If any questions, do let me know, or else we are good for today. Thank you.